Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Criterion, and this time we take a closer look at another Janus Contemporary title, a ravishing piece of cinematic work from director Nuri Bilge Ceylan, about dry grasses. About Dry Grasses is set in a remote part of Anatolia, and schoolteacher Zamet, played in the film by Deniz Seligoglu, shows favouritism to a young female pupil of the age of 14 by giving her a compact mirror as a present, which she gratefully accepts. He is a somewhat disillusioned teacher from Istanbul who's been placed in a small school in a remote location. He shares accommodation in the village with his friend and fellow teacher Canne, played in the film by Musab Ekisi. A random school search uncovers a love letter that the young pupil clearly wrote to her teacher, and this unleashes an unfortunate turn of events. Savine comes to his office, the scene of so many inappropriate chats with her in the past, and begs Samet to give the letter back to her. She instantly senses that his patronising claim to have destroyed it is indeed a lie, and in that moment all her feelings for her teacher are transformed into rage, and this results in a later abuse claim levelled against both Samet and Canne. The insecure, prickly Samet suspects that it is the more attractive Canne who is the prime object of these allegations, left unspecified by the local authorities. Life goes on in this place. The investigation into Samet goes on, his tricky friendship with Canne goes on, and so does his chatty, sarky friendship with other people in the village. It all continues without reaching any very sensational endpoint, yet without feeling anticlimactic either. This film, so apparently forbidding and opaque in the way many Ceylan films initially are, has in fact something engrossing in its garrulous and wide-ranging quality, a literary quality in fact. Ceylan endows Samet with the qualities of a wryly observant narrator, disillusioned and unsatisfied, and yet generous enough in his way. In the meantime, both men are also vying for the attentions of an attractive schoolteacher from another school, Nuri, Merve Dizdar, who is a war amputee and now walks with a limp. This invariably causes a rift to form in their friendship, leading to lies and deceit between the two men. Now, this has a definite Jacobian feel to it, and there is still a Ceylan emphasis on still photography as well, complete with one particularly Brechtian moment in the film in the second half, which I'll not reveal, but which I must admit I was totally unprepared for. It does have a very typical title, About Dry Grasses, which is forbidding and slightly disconcerting. In the first half of the film, we see the snow-covered winter, in which we get Ceylan's signature shot of a lonely figure plodding towards the camera in the snow. In total contrast, much later in the film, we'll see bright summer, and the ground will reveal itself to be covered with a featureless dry grass. And this has a mysterious fascination in its austere beauty. Merve Dizdar is Nuri, the disabled woman who is desperately trying to find her place in a world predominantly populated by men and gain respect as an intelligent woman rather than an object of both desire and pity. Now, this is quintessential slow cinema. Acting in it is naturalistic, the lighting low, the scenes all protracted, taking place almost in real time. The camera moves only when it has to, and although there are lengthy silences in the film, it's also quite talky. The central debate between Samet and Nuri, for instance, when he turns up for dinner at her flat, having omitted to tell Canne that he was invited, lasts a full half hour as she attacks him for his selfishness while he manoeuvres her towards the bedroom. The film is, of course, subtitled, distracting with such a cascade of dialogue, and the eye sticks to the bottom of the screen instead of absorbing the full picture. But yet, About Dry Grasses becomes wholly engaging and deeply challenging to the viewer and their own sense of self and purpose. It's pretty much a modern masterpiece, standing comparison with the work of the auteurs Ceylan most admires, Bresson, Tarkovsky, Antonioni, and indeed Ozu. Now, notwithstanding that, his 2014 Palme d'Or winning film, Winter's Sleep, was actually based on a Chekhov story. But About Dry Grasses is probably the most Chekhovian film he's ever made, rarely acknowledged by its presentation of a gun that never goes off. He says, "From the day I arrive, I've only thought about leaving," believing Istanbul rather than Moscow to be the answer. And Nuri reproves him here and says, "Wherever you go, your problems will go with you." Now, the film, scripted by Ceylan, his wife Ebru, and Akin Aksu, on whose journals from his time as a teacher it's loosely based, he takes out his frustration on the children while teaching them art, and he shouts, "None of you will become artists. You'll plant potatoes and sugar beets so the rich live comfortably. Write what you like. What the hell am I doing here?" When Nuri challenges him to declare what he believes in, Zamet offers only, "I'm not overly fond of anything." Now, Deniz Seligoglu miraculously conjures our sympathy for his character in his sadness and disappointment. Merve Dizdar, whose performance won her Best Actress at Cannes, is equally complex as Nuri. Essi Bagsi as Sevin's alive with the spirit and independence that Zamet lacks. Nuri Bilge Ceylan's films may seem deliberately boring, but they are always convincing, and steadily become as involving as the Russian novels they emulate. It would be a waste to see About Dry Grasses not only repay the time, it makes a change of pace, nothing less than a moral recalibration. The film is distributed through the Criterion Collection on Blu-ray with just a trailer and a Meet the Filmmakers feature. There's a small leaflet with some information on the film as well. If you're in the UK, this is already available as a bare bones Blu-ray release through Picture House. Nuri Bilge Ceylan's About Dry Grasses is difficult, challenging and confronting, but poetic and ultimately rewarding. Now, it won't restore your faith in humanity, but it might just restore your faith in the powerful nature of cinema. The film has a running time of 197 minutes and is available on Blu-ray in the US from Tuesday the 22nd of October. Coming next on Let's Talk Criterion, we have the first of our November releases, and that's the original Godzilla from 1954, which is coming to the collection in both the US and UK on 4K UHD. So, until then, from me, as always, it's goodbye, and above all, good Criterion viewing.